Want to ace your next UX design interview? This real senior designer interview reveals the exact strategies that get you hired. Number 1, how to confidently explain your design process in a way that impresses hiring managers. Number 2, the perfect way to present portfolio projects that showcase senior level thinking. Number 3, how to answer, "Why are you transitioning to UX?" without sounding like a beginner. Number 4, how to advocate for your design decisions when stakeholders have different priorities. Number 5, how to demonstrate UX research skills even with limited professional experience. Number 6, the technical knowledge you must show to prove you're ready for senior roles. Number 7, how to handle hypothetical design challenges that test your problem solving. Number 8, professional ways to discuss salary expectations and negotiate your worth. Number 9, what to say when asked about collaboration with developers and product teams. And number 10, how to address concerns about experience level and show readiness for senior roles. Watch Sarah Martinez masterfully navigate every challenge, from portfolio review to salary negotiation, transforming from graphic designer to hired senior UX professional. By the end of this interview, you'll have a complete playbook for interview success. Don't miss the game-changing response to the cart abandonment challenge that sealed the deal. Now, let's step into the interview room and see exactly how it's done.
Good morning, Sarah. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. I'm Marcus Chen, the Design Director here at TechFlow Solutions. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Marcus. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm excited to learn more about this opportunity and share my experience with you.
Excellent. Before we dive in, could you tell me a bit about your current commute situation and how you heard about this position?
I'm currently based about 20 minutes from your office, so the location works well for me. I discovered this position through LinkedIn, and after researching TechFlow Solutions, I was really impressed by your approach to user-centered design and innovation in the fintech space.
That's great to hear. Let's start with your background. I see you've been working as a graphic designer for the past 6 years. Can you walk me through your journey and what's driving your transition into UX UI design?
Absolutely. I started my career in graphic design, primarily working on brand identity, print materials, and digital marketing assets. Over the past few years, I've noticed that my favorite projects were always the ones where I could think beyond just the visual appeal and consider how users would interact with the design. I found myself asking questions like, how will users navigate this? And what's the user's goal here? That curiosity led me to take several UX courses, work on personal app projects, and gradually shift my focus toward user experience design.
That's a natural progression many designers make. What specific UX UI work have you done, either professionally or through personal projects?
In my current role, I've been able to incorporate UX thinking into several web projects. I redesigned our company's client portal, conducting user interviews and creating wireframes before moving to visual design. I also completed Google's UX design certificate and IBM's design thinking program. For personal projects, I've designed a fitness tracking app and a local restaurant finder, taking them through the entire process from user research to high-fidelity prototypes.
Let's talk about your technical toolkit. What design tools are you proficient in, and how comfortable are you with industry-standard UX UI tools?
I'm highly proficient in Adobe Creative Suite, particularly Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, which I've used daily for 6 years. For UX UI work, I've been working extensively with Figma for the past year and a half. I love its collaborative features and component systems. I'm also comfortable with Sketch and have experience with prototyping tools like InVision and Principle. Additionally, I have basic knowledge of HTML and CSS, which helps me communicate better with developers and understand technical constraints.
How do you approach learning new tools? And are there any emerging tools you're interested in exploring?
I'm a hands-on learner. I typically start with the tool's documentation, then dive into tutorials and practice projects. I recently started exploring Framer for more advanced prototyping, and I'm interested in learning more about design systems tools like Storybook. I also keep up with design trends through Design Systems Repo, Nielsen Norman Group, and various design podcasts.
Tell me about your design process. How do you approach a new project from conception to completion?
My process has evolved significantly as I've incorporated UX principles. I typically start with understanding the problem and the users. This involves stakeholder interviews, user research when possible, and defining clear objectives. Then I move into information architecture and user flow mapping before creating low-fidelity wireframes. After validating these concepts, I progress to high-fidelity designs and interactive prototypes. Throughout the process, I try to gather feedback early and often, and I always consider the technical feasibility and business constraints.
How do you handle user research, especially when you have limited time or resources?
I've learned to be resourceful with research. When formal user testing isn't possible, I use methods like guerrilla testing with colleagues or friends, analyzing existing user data, conducting surveys, or creating simple A/B tests. I also leverage analytics tools to understand user behavior patterns. Even quick hallway testing can provide valuable insights that inform design decisions.
Describe a time when user feedback contradicted your initial design assumptions. How did you handle it?
In my redesign of our client portal, I assumed users would prefer a dashboard-style layout with all information visible at once. However, during user interviews, I discovered that users felt overwhelmed and couldn't quickly find what they needed. The feedback showed they preferred a more guided, step-by-step approach. I pivoted to a cleaner, more focused design with progressive disclosure, which ultimately improved task completion rates by 40%.
I'd love to hear about a project you're particularly proud of. Can you walk me through one of your UX, UI projects in detail?
I'd like to discuss my fitness tracking app project called FlexFit. The challenge was designing for users who find traditional fitness apps overwhelming or intimidating. I started with surveys and interviews with 15 people who had abandoned fitness apps in the past. The key insight was that users wanted flexibility and didn't want to feel judged for missing workouts. My solution focused on adaptive goal setting and positive reinforcement rather than guilt-based motivation. I created a system where the app adjusts expectations based on user behavior and celebrates small wins. The onboarding process uses progressive profiling to reduce initial friction. I conducted 2 rounds of usability testing that led to significant improvements in the navigation and goal-setting flow.
What were the biggest challenges in that project, and how did you overcome them?
The biggest challenge was balancing motivation without being pushy. Through testing, I found that traditional progress metrics actually demotivated many users. I had to rethink how to visualize progress in a way that felt encouraging rather than judgmental. I experimented with different metaphors and visual approaches, ultimately settling on a growth-based system that focused on building habits rather than hitting specific numbers.
How do you ensure your designs are accessible and inclusive?
Accessibility has become increasingly important to me. I follow WCAG guidelines and use tools like Stark and Figma to check color contrast ratios. I design with keyboard navigation in mind and consider users with various disabilities. For inclusivity, I'm conscious about imagery, language, and cultural considerations. I also try to test with diverse user groups when possible and stay updated on inclusive design best practices through resources like Microsoft's Inclusive Design Toolkit.
This role involves working closely with product managers, developers, and other stakeholders. How do you approach cross-functional collaboration?
I believe successful collaboration starts with clear communication and mutual understanding. I make it a point to understand each stakeholder's priorities and constraints. With developers, I've learned to ask about technical limitations early in the process and provide detailed specs and assets. With product managers, I focus on how design decisions support business objectives. I found that including stakeholders in the design process through workshops or feedback sessions creates better buy-in and outcomes.
Describe a situation where you had to advocate for a design decision that others disagreed with.
In the client portal project, the marketing team wanted to include several promotional elements on the main dashboard. I felt this would clutter the interface and distract from users' primary tasks. I presented user journey maps and showed how the promotional content would interrupt key workflows. I also suggested alternative placements that would be less intrusive but still visible. By framing it in terms of user success and conversion rates, I was able to find a compromise that satisfied both design and marketing objectives.
How do you handle constructive criticism and feedback on your designs?
I've learned to separate my ego from my work and view feedback as valuable input rather than personal criticism. I always ask clarifying questions to understand the reasoning behind feedback and try to find the underlying need or concern. Sometimes the suggested solution isn't right, but the problem they've identified is valid. I've found that explaining my design rationale helps others understand my decisions, and I'm always open to iterating when feedback reveals better solutions.
How familiar are you with design systems, and how do you approach creating scalable designs?
I've become increasingly interested in design systems as I've worked on larger projects. In my current role, I created a basic design system for our web properties, establishing consistent typography, color palettes, button styles, and component patterns. I understand the value of atomic design principles and how well-structured components can improve consistency and development efficiency. I'm eager to work with more sophisticated design systems and contribute to their evolution.
How do you balance consistency with the need for creative solutions and innovation?
I view design systems as enabling creativity rather than constraining it. A good system provides a solid foundation that frees you to focus on solving unique problems rather than reinventing basic patterns. When I need to deviate from the system, I always consider whether it's truly necessary and if the new pattern could benefit the broader system. Innovation should serve user needs, not just be different for the sake of being different.
What current trends in UX, UI design do you find most interesting or concerning?
I'm excited about the evolution of voice interfaces and how they're changing interaction patterns, though I think we're still figuring out the best practices. I'm also interested in how AR and VR are creating new design challenges and opportunities. On the concerning side, I worry about dark patterns becoming more sophisticated and the potential for AI to perpetuate biases in design decisions. I think our responsibility as designers to consider ethical implications is more important than ever.
How do you stay current with industry developments and continue learning?
I follow several design publications like UX Planet, Smashing Magazine, and A-List Apart. I'm active in design communities on Dribbble and Behance, and I attend local UX meetups when possible. I also listen to podcasts like Design Better and User Defenders during my commute. I try to take at least one online course each quarter to learn new skills or deepen existing knowledge.
Let me give you a hypothetical scenario. You're tasked with improving the checkout process for an e-commerce site that has a 70% cart abandonment rate. How would you approach this challenge?
I'd start by analyzing where exactly users are dropping off in the current funnel using analytics data. Then I'd conduct user research to understand the why behind the abandonment. Are there technical issues, trust concerns, unexpected costs, or process friction? I'd also benchmark against successful e-commerce sites to identify best practices. Based on my findings, I might focus on areas like reducing form fields, clarifying shipping costs up front, improving mobile experience, adding trust signals, or implementing guest checkout options. I'd create prototypes of potential solutions and test them with users, measuring both qualitative feedback and quantitative metrics like completion rates and time to completion. The key would be iterative improvement based on data rather than assumptions.
You have limited development resources and 3 equally important design improvements that stakeholders want implemented. How do you prioritize?
I'd facilitate a discussion with stakeholders to define equally important more clearly. What criteria are we using? User impact, business value, technical complexity, or strategic alignment? I'd push for data-driven prioritization using frameworks like RICE scoring or impact effort matrices. If they're truly equal in business value, I'd consider factors like development complexity, risk, and dependencies. Sometimes the quick win that builds momentum is the right choice. Other times, tackling the most complex challenge first makes sense. I'd also explore if any improvements could be implemented in phases or combined to maximize efficiency.
This is a senior level position. How do you see yourself mentoring junior designers or contributing to team growth?
I'm excited about the mentorship aspect. Coming from a graphic design background, I understand the challenges of transitioning to UX UI and could help others navigate that journey. I believe in sharing knowledge through documentation, design critiques, and pairing sessions. I'd want to help junior designers develop both their technical skills and their strategic thinking abilities. I also think I could contribute by bringing a fresh perspective and asking questions that more experienced UX designers might not think to ask. Sometimes an outsider's view can reveal blind spots or assumptions that need challenging.
Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years, and how does this role fit into your career goals?
I see myself growing into a design leadership role where I can influence product strategy and help build design-driven culture within organizations. This senior UX UI position would be a crucial step in that journey, allowing me to deepen my UX expertise while taking on more strategic responsibilities. I'm particularly interested in the intersection of design and business strategy. Long-term, I'd love to contribute to product decisions at a strategic level, perhaps as a principal designer or design director. I'm also passionate about design education and might explore teaching or speaking opportunities as I develop expertise.
What interests you most about TechFlow Solutions and this particular role?
I'm drawn to TechFlow's focus on simplifying complex financial processes for users. Having worked with various clients who struggle with financial tools, I appreciate the challenge of making something inherently complex feel intuitive and trustworthy. Your recent case study on the small business lending platform particularly impressed me. The way you simplified a traditionally cumbersome process while maintaining necessary security and compliance requirements. I'm also excited about the opportunity to work on products that have real impact on people's financial well-being. The fintech space is evolving rapidly, and being part of a team that's helping shape that evolution is very appealing.
What questions do you have about the role, our team, or the company?
I'd love to understand more about the current design team structure and how design decisions are integrated into the product development process. What does a typical project timeline look like, and how much user research budget and time is typically allocated? I'm also curious about how TechFlow measures design success. Are you tracking metrics like user satisfaction, task completion rates, or other UX-specific KPIs? And what professional development opportunities exist for designers here?
What do you see as the biggest challenges in making the transition from graphic design to senior UX UI design?
The biggest challenge is probably the shift from primarily aesthetic decision-making to research-driven strategic design thinking. While I've been developing these skills, I know there's still a learning curve in terms of deeply understanding user behavior and psychology. I'm also aware that I need to strengthen my knowledge of technical constraints and possibilities, especially as they relate to development timelines and feasibility. However, I'm committed to continuous learning, and I think my strong visual design foundation, combined with my growing UX knowledge, positions me well to contribute meaningfully to the team.
Are there any concerns you have about this role or working at TechFlow?
My main concern is ensuring I can contribute at the expected senior level from day one while still growing into the role. I'm confident in my design abilities and learning capacity, but I want to make sure the team's expectations align with my current skill level and development trajectory. I'd also want to understand how much autonomy I'd have in establishing design processes and methodologies, especially if current practices differ from what I've learned through my studies and personal projects.
Let's briefly discuss compensation and logistics. What salary range are you targeting for this position?
Based on my research of similar roles in this market and considering my experience level, I'm looking at a range of $85,000 to $100,000, depending on the complete benefits package and growth opportunities. I'm also interested in understanding the performance review and advancement timeline.
This role may occasionally require travel for user research or team collaboration. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I'm comfortable with reasonable travel requirements. I think in-person user research and team collaboration can be incredibly valuable, so I'd welcome those opportunities.
We're coming to the end of our time together. Is there anything else you'd like to share or any final questions?
I just want to reiterate my enthusiasm for this opportunity. The combination of challenging UX problems, a supportive team environment, and the chance to make a real impact in fintech is exactly what I'm looking for in my next role. I'm excited about the possibility of contributing to TechFlow's mission while continuing to grow as a UX professional. When should I expect to hear about next steps?
Thank you for your time today, Sarah. You've given us a lot to think about. We'll be making our decision within the next week, and we'll reach out to all candidates by Friday with next steps. We may have a follow-up interview with our product team if we move forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Marcus. I look forward to hearing from you.
Have a great rest of your day, Sarah.
Thank you, Marcus. You too.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means a lot.